What's up, everybody? Ian here with Seek First Adventure, and today we're going to talk about money and our budget for the Airstream. Now, I think that's a big thing to think about whenever you're going to get into a project like this, is like how much it's going to cost you. You need to figure out your budget, and a lot of times with that, even when you plan to the best of your abilities, odds are you're still going to spend a lot more money than you planned for. I know for us there's been a lot of unforeseen expenses and just things that you don't necessarily think about that come up, as well as just, when you get into a project like this, you find additional problems and just areas where more money has to be spent. And so, a lot of times just a good rule of thumb is to, whenever you're planning, kind of add an extra 20 to 30% on top of your budget just for that kind of stuff. Whenever we started this, we wanted to really evaluate if it was going to make sense to renovate the Airstream versus buying a new one versus something else. And so I did a lot of research, looked into what other people were doing, what other people were spending, as well as just looking at all the different parts that I thought I was going to need and putting together a list and a budget. So before we even bought the Airstream, I already had a spreadsheet going with parts that we may need and where to get them and the price and everything, and was starting to add up and just have a plan for how we were going to pay for this. And whenever I initially started, I was guessing that we were probably going to be in the $20,000 to $25,000 range, just for the renovation part, the parts, the tools, the all that kind of stuff. And I think we're going to be pretty close to that. It may end up being a little bit more. There's some variables like sponsorships. We've gotten some things already kind of helped out and covered in that regard. So if that continues, that can obviously help. But just for the sake of this discussion, we're not necessarily going to factor that in. Additionally, there's some things that we don't necessarily have to get the trailer to where we can live in it. Stuff like the solar and the awnings and even the axles, I'll probably wait until a little bit later to upgrade, because those are things that aren't a necessity to live in it, but that we can do down the road. Whenever we first are living in it, we're not necessarily going to be doing a ton of boondock and off-grid camping, so we don't necessarily need the big solar setup. So that's an area where we can wait to spend that, $5,000 to $7,000. So right now, where we are, the initial cost of the Airstream was $7,700 plus $800 to have it towed down here. We've already sold some stuff off of it, so that kind of brought a little bit more money back in. And so far on top of that, we have spent an additional $5,066 on parts, renovation, tools, all of that kind of stuff. And I broke it down into just kind of three categories. I have just like general supplies, which is going to be shop towels, gloves, cleaning supplies, all of that kind of stuff. So the next category is tools. There's tools that I had to buy specifically for this project, and there's still going to be some more stuff that I'm going to need. And then the last category is stuff that's actually going on the Airstream. So that's like the parts that we bought, the metal, the paint, all that kind of stuff I would consider to be like Airstream parts. So so far in the general supplies, we've spent $518, and on tools we have spent $1,603, and then on actual parts for the Airstream we've spent $2,944. And as I'm adding all this up and looking at where we are, there's definitely this feeling of like, I've spent all that money and it's an empty shell and a bare frame and doesn't look like anything's happening. But the thing is, I know that we have progress is being made. We have like all the windows that need to go in. We have a lot of parts that are waiting to go in. We have all the sheet metal, which wasn't cheap, all that stuff that's going to be going back in. And so I know that the money has gone somewhere. It's just hard not to necessarily see it. So with our projected budget, right now we still have right around $12,000 in that outline spreadsheet where I have like all the different parts and stuff. There's a good bit of stuff that's not on there because I don't necessarily have a way to necessarily estimate it. Some of the interior building, some of the lumber, just additional things that we haven't figured out yet. And so I'm just kind of roughly assuming, there's another $5,000 in there to get it to the point where, it'll be complete. So, that's putting us roughly around $17,000 that we still need to finish the project. So in addition to setting a project budget, we are setting a personal financial budget to meet the different goals that we have to get this project finished. So with that, we are wanting to, really focus in and prioritize how we're spending money to where we can put a good amount towards the Airstream. As of right now, we're putting about $1,200 a month just out of our normal salaried budget that's coming in, and then we have a target and a goal to make an additional $500 a month to go towards it, and that's going to be for doing side jobs, that's selling stuff, that's just various ways that we can bring in any extra income. So we've been hitting that every month since we've got the Airstream and actually exceeding that, so that's been really phenomenal. So with that number, that puts us right around $1,700 a month, and so with the budget being at $17,000, that's roughly 10 months, which is our target. So again, we got to do some hustling to make it happen, but with where our budget sits, we should be able to get it done in about 10 months. Now, obviously, we have some other irons in the fire, some other projects that we're working on that will hopefully bring in some additional money, so that could be accelerated, and that's kind of the hope and kind of the goal. So we're really excited. We know that anytime you get into these projects, money is definitely a big thing. So we'd love to hear from you on ways that you make extra money on the side to help you reach your goals. If you have any creative ideas or ways to make some extra cash on the side, let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear and get your input. Anything that may help us come up with some cool ideas. So we'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful. Maybe gave you a little bit of insight into what something like this might cost. And if you haven't already, I'd love for you to subscribe to our channel. We are also on Instagram. It is linked below, and check out our website as well, theseekfirstadventure.com. Thank you so much for watching. Have an awesome day.